All right, Kyle. So the Avalanche were up, and then they were tied, and then they were down, and then they tied it again, and it went to overtime where they got the extra point. Not how you draw it up against a team like the Anaheim Ducks, but it happens sometimes. And in the end, the Avs fought back and got the 2 points. A lot to talk about here, a lot to talk about with what went on over the weekend for the Avs. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, and thank you for making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. Make sure to follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. Follow us on our YouTube channel over on YouTube. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live, and why not subscribe to our subtext subscription-based model where you can talk to Kyle and I on a one-on-one basis. The link for that is in the show notes, whether you're listening in your car or over on the YouTube. All right, man. So the Avs needed to kind of kick it into high gear in this one as they give up 4 straight to Anaheim and needed to fight back to tie this thing thanks to some silly and stupid penalties by the Anaheim Ducks that let the Avalanche get back in this. They tie it up, go to overtime, and it was all Avalanche in OT. Another penalty from Anaheim, which put the Avalanche on a power play with less than a minute to go. And it was Nathan MacKinnon, who is just on an absolute tear right now to give the Avs the extra point. So what'd you think in total of this game in particular?
It was one of those, especially coming off the heels of the Kings game, where Malgin exploded. Where'd that come from?
Man.
Like, you didn't get your offense from, your big guys. So you were kind of surprised and anxious to see how it would go. Then JT Compher is the one that leads the charge right out of the gate. You're like, okay, this is going to be one of those weird games. Little did we know that it would take 8 power plays for the Avalanche to get back into this game. And yes, we won, but it was one of those that letting up the goals that we did and scoring on ourselves. It's one of those, like, hockey is a silly sport, and this was the example. But hey, we got the 2 points.
Yeah, and you're laying it to back, which I'm not. The Avs are well seasoned in the back-to-backs, right? At this point of the stage of the season, so you're in the best shape of the season right now. You know what I mean? You're coming up to the end, so there's really no excuses, even if it's back-to-back. But yeah, the Avalanche 0 for 4 on the power play, and then they rip off 3 in a row to climb back into it and then eventually win it, right? So yeah, it wasn't going well. The beginning of this game was just very the Avs had the lead after 1 on that JT Compher goal, but it was just a very, I don't know, they were not in their comfort zone. And I think we said this last time the Avalanche played the Ducks. The Ducks don't have that, firepower and skill to hang with the Avs. But if you let them, that just gives them that confidence, and they can keep up with the Avs in terms of speed. They really have that. And they were causing fits for the Avs. I really feel like the Avs were not in their comfort zone in this game. But what happened? You get dumb penalties on Anaheim. And yeah, sure, the Avalanche were 0 for 4 on the power play, but you can't just keep giving them power plays because they're 0 for 4. They have the Avalanche are the team that have the firepower and can climb back into it. And when you give them that many opportunities, when you give them 8, even though you've forced them to go 0 for 4, you're not Anaheim sitting back thinking we can just give them power plays left and right because we've been stopping them. No, and I'm seeing some people complain about the penalties like that were called on Anaheim. Those were all penalties.
Yeah.
I don't know what like it's not, and even Avalanche fans are saying, well, the stripes helped us there. How? They were all tripping, and even the one in overtime that I'm hearing a lot about, people thinking that Erod kind of flailed a little bit on that. It was a stupid back check penalty where the puck was nowhere even. Who caused that penalty on Anaheim? Let me see. I'll find
Frank.
Yeah, Vetrano. It was a stupid penalty. You can't do like that. Is the difference between a team on the rebuild and undisciplined against an Avalanche team who can rip off 3 power play goals in a row and climb back into it and win it.
Yeah, and we talked about this a little bit when it came to playing teams like Detroit and Arizona. Those are teams on a rebuild with talent. Anaheim is still searching for its, like, we know there's Zegras. But it's, other than that, it's a scrappy, like, pardon the pun, but they're like the D1 Mighty Ducks. Like, they're just a bunch of scrappy kids that just are looking to find their way. They don't have like a solid identity. And you could get that from Ducks fans, that they're just ready to get this season over and build towards next year because there's really no hope. And if the Avalanche let them play around and let them feel like they have a chance, of course they're going to try. Why not? There's just maybe a week left of the regular season. It's over for them. The Avalanche are looking to the future just a little bit. So don't let them play around. But when it comes to those stupid penalties, that's what happens when you are outmatched, outmanned, and just a severe talent discrepancy. That's the way you get even. You get chippy, things get kind of out of hand, but you cannot give the Colorado Avalanche 8 power plays and expect to win the game.
No, and yeah, I mean, everybody knows of Zegras, and they have, Troy Terry is kind of finding his place on this team and really in the league. And you have young guys, Mason McTavish. I really like him.
Yeah.
So they have, but from top to bottom, they don't have it.
No.
Right. And when the Avs started, just picking up the pace because they had to, they're forcing Anaheim into mistakes. And Anaheim was reaching. That's why you got those tripping calls. And then I just don't understand what Vetrano's trying to do on that play in overtime. I don't understand it. And that's where this team will. That's the difference. Anaheim is just that undisciplined. And I'm not like going on their coaching. They're not a full-fledged team to play those full 60s. And when you have a lead against a team like the Avalanche who are going to now force the issue, it's like panic mode. It's like, can we hang on to this? And that's what the Avalanche can do. They're never out of it. And when you have a young team like that who has even a 2-goal lead, and the Avalanche start forcing the issue and imposing their will, a team like the Ducks just gets into panic mode.
And you also have to keep in mind 2 other factors. If Sammy G didn't score that goal, overtime would not be needed. And, well, this is Frankie's first time seeing the ice in 2 months.
That too.
So there's some rust there. If we had Georgiev or a regular seasoned Pavel Francouz, it would be a completely different outcome, and you wouldn't have those questionable goals. There'd be a little bit more confidence out there in your goaltender. So there were a lot of factors here to make this one of those little kind of wonky games, but you got the 2 points, and now you get a day of rest before you go into the last stretch of the season, and you're sitting pretty good in the Central right now.
And on those, in the first period alone, 3 hit posts, 3 by the Avs. That happens.
But hey, at least they're taking shots, which they did not do against the Kings. It's still won.
No, like that Kings game was, I mean, hey, I'll take it.
2 points. That's all we gotta.
Yeah, that's hey. If you had questions, which you shouldn't really on our goaltending, but Georgiev can stand tall if he needs to. All right, let me get into. I wanted to. We're up against a break, so let's get into we're at the point of the season where it's like now you're seeing some records and things like that come up for the Avalanche, right? So there's some pretty big milestones on the one that's tied right now with Mikko Rantanen and Joe Sakic. But Peter Ball put something up about the pace that Nathan MacKinnon is on right now, and I want to get to that, which is it's crazy. It's crazy. But first, where is it? There we go. We're gonna hear from FanDuel. You got grand slams, no hitters, and double plays. They're all back, and there's no better place to get in on the Major League Baseball action than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Why? Because new customers can step up to the plate with you guessed it, the no sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just go to FanDuel.com/locked-on to sign up, place your first bet, and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win. So don't miss your chance for that no sweat first bet for up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/locked-on to sign up. FanDuel, the official partner of Major League Baseball. All right. I wanted to get to this because, we haven't had a show since Mikko hit 50 and then 51 and 52. And now he hit 54, which ties the franchise record with Joe Sakic. Got a few games left to surpass that. Good stuff there. I'll get your thoughts on him in a second, but I also want to bring up, Peter Ball put this up. Since the All-Star game, Nathan MacKinnon has 26 goals and 53 points in 31 games. That is a 140-point, 69-goal pace for a full 82-game season. And, this season of injuries, it prevents things from happening, right? Because, you have Nathan MacKinnon is a top 3 player in the team, or in the league. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's a top 3 player on the team. And he is. I can say that with confidence. And when things like that happen, when you don't get to play the full 82 game season, you can't just say like, he's better than than McKinnon or McDavid or whatever. But the numbers like that, fine. You don't get the full thing for the entire 82 season. But when you're playing like that from a team standpoint, that's what you want to see. You want to carry all of that momentum into a postseason.
And
playing fantastic.
With Nathan MacKinnon, you also have this kind of positive reassurance in your mind. You saw how he can never get to the 100-point mark, and he's got there no problem, even with the injuries, the missed games. He's there. You're looking forward to next year, especially seeing that and that pace. Nathan MacKinnon, he's in the locker room. He also sees that, and he's like, okay, next year I got you.
Yeah.
He's once he finally got to his 100-point mark. Now he believes that maybe I could do the 150. And now he's going to constantly, because Nathan MacKinnon is not built like a normal human being, and that's his challenge for next year. That's the carrot that he's going to dangle, and that's what's going to motivate him next year.
I think the challenge will just to be healthy. And then the numbers will just take care of themselves. Because if he's out on the ice, he's going full bore. You know what I mean? It's twofold. If he's out on the ice and the Avs have something to play for, and that's the other part of it right now too. Is like nothing is buttoned up for the Avs right now in terms of seeding. Yeah, you've reached the playoffs, and if it was, we'll make the playoffs and then take our foot off the gas. That's all we care about. You're probably not winning this game tonight. You're probably getting down 4-2 and then just going through the motions and skating if you didn't care. But clearly they do, and they have something to play for. So those points are just going to accumulate and pile up because you got to go out. You continue to need points because for them standings matter and the division matters. So if he stays healthy, and the Avs are in a dogfight for seeding and positioning in the division, yeah, I mean, he can do that next year. He can go on that pace next year and finish it off and with easily 130, 140 points. I could see that happening.
And especially, okay, let's I mean, we're locked on Avalanche. We could say this without upsetting everyone. Let's just let's run this out. Let's say the Avalanche run the table and win it again. Back-to-back cup champions.
Okay.
Next year, how sweet would it be to have that motivation? Let's go for 3. Let's go for that 3-peat that Tampa couldn't have. The team that we defeated to get here.
Start the 3-peat. Yeah.
Let's start their 3-peat.
Yeah.
Let's go after that 150 points. Let's strive this offseason. We partied because it was our first. This offseason, let's, as a unit, as a team, focus on getting better, be the best possible version of a team next year, and approach it. Let's all hit 82 games. I don't care what your stats are. Let's all try and hit 82 games. Like a business-like approach to the offseason. See, these are the things that you can look forward to where this team could possibly go that I'm kind of excited about.
I think that will be kind of a goal next year. Not everybody. I mean, it's next to impossible for every player in the team to hit 80. I know what you're saying. Like, let's just be healthier. Let's not have however many missed games we had this year, which is hundreds. Let's bring that down. I don't know how you do that because injuries are a fluky thing. You can't prepare for them. You can't plan for them because the way that this game is played, it's just so fat. Like, guys are going to get hurt.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to say. Like, let's. You're always planning to not get hurt. But I think if the Avalanche just go out and play normal, that number would have to be lower next year because this year just seems to be out of control with how the injuries were. So you have to look to next season and say, like, there's no way that can happen again, just out of sheer normalcy. So the numbers that we're looking at with like Mikko, who was healthy this year, and Nate, and then, if Kale can play a full, like, you'd have to think, man, they're doing what they're doing this year with all those injuries. Maybe that Boston Bruins record that they just got is not going to stand for very long if the Avs can stay healthy.
And that's whatever happens this season, you could point back. This is your bulletin board offseason material. And this could also help when it comes to signing these UFAs in the offseason. Look at what we did with all of these missed games from our players. Like, look at what we were able to accomplish in games that we just completed with the Anaheim Ducks that we had to struggle to get back into. We wouldn't have to if we had Cale Makar, Lehkonen, Bo Byram. The list goes on and on and on. Josh Manson. Right. Like, you can list, like, you don't want to have to struggle late with like 3 games to go. Let's take a complete effort in this season to approach this like a machine and what we could possibly do. Boston set this record. Let's go set a new one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that the Avalanche could do in this offseason to build on everything that was so terrible throughout this season and where they are right now.
Yeah. Well, that's next year. Let's not look too far into next year. We still have a lot to go in this year. 3 more games left in the season. You have Edmonton on Tuesday. You have Winnipeg Jets on Thursday. Those are both home games. And then you end the season in Nashville on Friday. So you end the season, surprise, with a back-to-back. Do you think, Pablo Francouz is probably going to play one of those games in the back-to-back, which I'm okay with because you want to get him at least one more game because who knows if you're going to need him in the postseason. But these also could be very meaningful games. Mm-hmm. Are you putting him out there for which game? I don't think you're going to put him out there for the Edmonton game. So you have the Jets game or the Predators game, which you would say like, well, both those teams are kind of about the same in the standing, Jets are above Winnipeg, but the Jets are going to be going full bore because the Jets, they need as many points right now as they can get because they're pushing for a playoff spot. The Predators kind of little bit on the outside, but they still are too. I don't think they've been completely eliminated. Let me see what we got here for the division.
See, I
So
think it's
where do you put them though? Like where do you put? Because all those games are important, especially for the Avalanche, because you got to get points too.
I think it's funny that you mentioned what game singular that you put him in for.
Yeah, I'm not putting them in for 2 out of the last 3.
I absolutely would. It's
No.
been 2 months. I would put him in for Edmonton, and I'd put him in for Nashville at the end. Let Georgiev play Winnipeg. Let him rest for the playoffs. He's our starter game 1 of the playoffs. Let Frankie try and get, like, he looked rusty. He needs some time.
He does, but
you don't want to knock that rust off in the playoffs.
But you don't really play your backups all that much in the playoffs. Like, you're only doing it if there's injuries. And there's the other thing, the way that the season is going, should you just plan on like Frankie playing at some point in the postseason just because of the way that this season, this injury riddled season for the Avs?
Frankie almost took the starting job last year in the playoffs. We had Michael Hutchinson not too long removed. Like, backup goalies will make an appearance in the playoffs.
As we're recording this, Winnipeg holds the second wild card. They're 1 point up on Calgary. There was only 2 games yesterday, so this is there's nothing's going to change between when we're recording this in the morning. There's nothing else going on right now. So, God, I don't know. It like I said, if everything was buttoned up for the Avs and you knew where you were in the standings and you knew your seed was locked up, fine. It's twofold. You're getting Frankie some playing time, knock that rust off, and you're letting Georgiev rest before the playoffs. But the Avs want the top seed in the Central. They want to win the Central, and then you're going up against you're going up against the Jets, who really need that spot. You're going up against Edmonton, who is only 2 points behind Vegas for top spot in the Pacific and likely top spot in the entire Western Conference. And then you have the Predators, who are only 3 points out of the Jets, and they're 2 points out from Calgary. So all of these games are meaningful right now. And he's playing one of them. He's playing one of them, I would say, but you play him if you need that last game of the season against the Predators to win the division. I don't think you're putting Francouz out there. And then, but that would mean you'd have to, if you want to play him in one of these last 3 games, you got to play him in the game, because I don't think you're going to play him against Winnipeg. Or excuse me, I don't think you're going to play him against Edmonton. So you'd play him against the Jets. I think that's where he plays. I kind of just talked myself into it. I think he plays the Jets game, and then.
I'm taking the reverse of that. I'm taking Edmonton and Nashville, because
you can't play him against Edmonton,
dude. You gotta think it's like we're playing for seeding. This isn't game 82. We're not trying to get in the playoffs. Like, you're playing for seeding. This is like it's just a check, and okay, this is nice and sweet, but this, in the grand scheme of things, it affects nothing. And you really need to get Frankie. I'd feel a lot better with two healthy conditioned goalies than whoever we play. I don't care who we play.
I think you just give him one more game, and I think he's fine. Okay. I don't think you can play him against Edmonton.
I don't think it's so much for Frankie getting there. I think Georgiev needs the rest too.
Yeah, he does. But I mean, because if you play him against Edmonton, he's gonna play another game. Unless you don't want Georgiev playing a back-to-back heading into the playoffs. So if he plays against Edmonton, he's going to play another one, and in that, I would get it to just get him as many live reps as possible. But these are meaningful games for the Avs, and I'm putting my ace out there. So I think he plays against the Jets, and then last game of the season, if it's as meaningful as it could be, you got your ace going out there. I don't know. I didn't intend to talk about that, but there we are. But how he played against Anaheim, I thought that was a good game for him to be in to come back and against a team that struggles, obviously. But you saw him struggle. You had the one goal that bounced off him, then bounced off Sam Girard, then went into the goal. You had a fluky one like that. it's good to just get him back out there.
I mean, he had to change masks. I had Darcy Kuemper flashbacks.
He did. Yeah, I know. Who else do we have? So you had, where's the points here? You had Nathan MacKinnon with a 3-point night, Mikko Rantanen with a 4-point night, and Devon Taves with a 3-point night. Those three guys right there give you 10 points. That's pretty crazy. 2 for Nichushkin with 2 assists. Sam Girard with an assist. Eric Johnson with an assist. I thought Eric Johnson was skating very well.
Oh my goodness, he looked great.
Yeah, I thought he was skating very well. He was playing very good defense. Man, the old timer still got it. If you ask me, I thought he looked pretty good.
Delete everything I said about maybe he should retire. I'm a fool.
I mean, that still might happen, but hey. Yeah, I mean, it was an ugly game.
Yeah,
it was an ugly game. From the standpoint of the Avs, like really like controlling pace of play. It wasn't the weekend for that.
Yeah.
The game against LA, it was, I think I have those stats up here. 41-23 in terms of shots on goal in favor of the Kings. They controlled the faceoffs, but what else is new about that? And then the Avs turned around in terms of shots on goal, 46-23 for the Avs. And this thing started. The Avs had 7 shots on goal in the first, and again, that's with like 3 hit posts, but it was just ugly. It was kind of ugly. And then as things went on, they started opening it up. They had 17 shots on goal in the second and then 18 in the third. So they started to at least like force the issue, and they had to when you get down. So it wasn't the prettiest of weekends, but how many times do we say this, Kyle, about the team? Like when you find ways to win heading into the playoffs, that makes you feel good.
Yeah, honestly, the best way to summarize this weekend, it was you're getting a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and you bite into it, and it's actually crunchy peanut butter, and you're going to have to work harder to get through that peanut butter jelly sandwich. It's still good, but it's more effort than you anticipated, but it's still a good sandwich, and it's filling.
I'm fine with the crunchy.
I love crunchy.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with crunchy, but I have not had a crunchy peanut butter jelly sandwich in a while. That is true. I haven't.
It's nothing like you're biting
now.
into it thinking it's smooth, and you're like, oh, this is crunchy. Okay, let's kick
it
up a notch.
To be sure, but
yeah, we gotta work through this.
All right, let's get to our sound check and then wrap this thing up. Kyle and I pick one song each that we feel best summarizes the most recent game. These songs go on a playlist over on Spotify. Just search LOA Soundcheck. This is volume number 2. So what do you have for this one, sir? The Colorado Avalanche and Anaheim Ducks.
Me over here sitting watching this Anaheim Ducks game, thinking it's going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Mm-hmm.
I end up sweating bullets by Megadeth. Honestly, one of my favorite Megadeth songs. It is such a good song, and that's at the end. I was like, are we really going to go down like this on TNT? For the love of God, on Easter.
Yeah, right. Come on, you're supposed to like this. This is my Easter present.
Come on, like I think this is what I wanted in my Easter basket, and we're going to get embarrassed.
I saw a meme once. It was like when something's supposed to be easy peasy lemon squeezy, and it's hard lemon hard. That's what this game was. So for me, like sweating bullets, but I'm still sitting here like, the Avs are in the playoffs. Like I know for them, like seeding is important. I would definitely use that song for a playoff game, and definitely, even like the Game 6 Stanley Cup game. That's sweating bullets, but it was a good comeback anyway. So yeah, it was. I could see you using that one now. I don't mind that one. That's good. For me, I went the Smashing Pumpkins route, and they have it's weird. They have 2 songs kind of with the same title.
Never Stop Metallica.
What do they have? That's
Unforgiven 1, 2, 3.
Oh, the Unforgiven series. Yeah. All right. But this song, there's 2 versions of this song. One is called "The End Is the Beginning Is the End." but I went with the beginning is the end is the beginning. Mainly because it's what we had. Like you had the beginning of the game, Avs had the lead. The middle or end of the game where you gave up the lead and had to come back, and then the beginning again is where you're in the lead again, and it's all over again. So it's just this repetition of
Galaxy brain pick, dude. Galaxy brain pick.
Yeah. And you might have heard this song before because it is in what I think is one of the best movie trailers ever made. And that was when the Watchmen movie came out.
Oh, yeah.
It was that Smashing Pumpkins song playing in the background. It actually originally was on the Batman. It was Batman and Robin. Yeah, the Batman and Robin soundtrack.
That movie didn't happen.
But the soundtrack is amazing.
Great
soundtrack. And now it's on that. So that's what I'm going with. It's very dark. It's very slow, and it's kind of like, I think it was a perfect setting for this game. So go check that out over on Spotify, and that'll wrap it up for today. 3 more games to go before we head into the meaningful postseason. So that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I'm Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow.